Hello students, and welcome to the first week of full-time e-learning. How exciting! I hope you are as excited as I am to learn virtually. Interesting, isn't it? It's different, but we'll get the hang of it and we will get used to it. So, are you excited for today's drama class? I am. Today we're going to have a lot of fun, but also we're going to get our heads down and do a little bit of hard work. So today's topic will be about routines. Routines. What are routines? Well, if that question arises in your head, think about your daily routine. Before quarantine, what was your daily routine like? What were the kinds of things you would do throughout the day that would happen every single day almost in the same way? For instance, my daily routine before quarantine went a little bit like this. I would wake up early in the morning, I would have a shower, brush my teeth, get dressed, get on the bus, go to school. I would have lunch at a certain time, 12 o'clock, I think it was. And then when school was over, I would get on the bus, go home, eat food, and go to sleep. Now your routine might be a bit more interesting than mine. My routine is typical and can cause you to fall asleep sometimes if you think about it. So when thinking about your routine, think about the interesting things. Do you play with certain toys on a Tuesday? Do you go to horse riding class on a Friday? What are the different things you used to do in your routine before quarantine? Then I want you to think about during quarantine. What is your routine now? Is it that you just lay in bed all day from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. eating chips? Or is it that you wake up super early and do a virtual yoga session on Instagram? Whatever that routine is, I want you to think about how it has changed compared to before quarantine. Once you have figured out those differences, I want you to write them down in a list. So I'm going to show you an example of that list. So here's an example of how to write down a list of what your routine is like before quarantine and during quarantine. So this is a really messy example, so I recommend you do it on an A4 piece of paper or a lined piece of paper and use a ruler. Here you can see it says before quarantine. Here it says during quarantine. So in the before quarantine column, you're going to, number 1, you're going to write your first activity that you do during your routine. It might be waking up in the morning. The second one might be having breakfast. The third one might be getting ready for school, etc. And during quarantine, you're going to do the same thing. It might all be staying in bed, staying in bed, staying in bed, staying in bed, staying in bed. I hope not though. I want you to have at least 5 different activities that you do during each routine. Extra points for the person who does more than 5. So, have you done that? Great. You've got your list and you're clear on what your 2 routines are. I want you to just take a look at those routines and think about, what is similar and what is different? Maybe you still brush your teeth as a routine at 7 a.m. every morning. Maybe you no longer get on the bus to school at 7:30 in the morning. The next part of the exercise is going to be storyboarding. Why are we storyboarding? Because we are going to plan a video showing both routines. The video can be funny, the video can be sad, or the video can just be informative. What does informative mean? If you want it to be informative, then it doesn't have to be funny or sad. It can just be something that serves the purpose of informing, of telling the person who's watching what your routine is. Either way, it needs to be acted out, and I will give you an example of that soon. But first, let's go straight into the storyboarding. Okay, so for the storyboarding, this is what I want you to do. You're going to create a much neater version of this because mine is very messy. You're going to get 2 A4 pieces of paper, and then you're going to create 5 or 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on how many routine activities you have. If you've got 7 or 8 activities, then create 7 or 8 boxes, okay? So you're going to do that, and you're going to do it on an A4 piece of paper, and you're going to create 2 versions, right? You're going to leave a space at the top here for a title, okay? One title on one of the A4 pieces of paper is going to say, before quarantine. The other piece of paper is going to say, during quarantine, okay? You got that? Right. So you're going to get an A4 piece of paper, and you're going to make these boxes a lot bigger than this. Why? Because these boxes aren't going to fit any pictures in there, right? Look, I can hardly fit a man in there. You see? Oh gosh, my drawing's terrible. Don't follow me, okay? You're going to draw these boxes, and you're also going to draw 2 lines under these boxes, right? 1, 2. 1, 2. And make enough space for those lines, because you're going to be writing the same activity that you wrote in your 2 lists, right? These lists, you're going to be labeling each box with one of these activities. So first go away and create 2 versions of this, and write on top before quarantine and during quarantine on the other A4 piece of paper, okay? Go away and do that, and come back to me. Okay, so you should now have 2 A4 pieces of paper, right? One titled before quarantine, the other titled after quarantine. Now you're going to go back to your list. For number 1 of before quarantine, okay, so for instance, if I have waking up as number 1 for before quarantine, or let's say waking up at 6 for before quarantine, I'm now going to go to my storyboard, and I'm going to go to the first picture, and I'm going to write waking up at 6. Right there. Okay? And then I'm going to draw a bed. I'm going to draw me waking up, stretching. Yeah? Now that's a terrible picture. It's horrible. Oh, terrible. I am sure you are much, much better drawers than me, and I expect to see way better, right? Extra points for the best artist out there. Right, so that's for number 1. Then you're going to go to number 2 of before quarantine, and you're going to write number 2, and then you're going to draw a picture, etc., 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 etc. Make sure your pictures are realistic. Make sure your pictures are something that you can film yourself doing in the future, because the next part of the project is going to be filming this storyboard. So what I want you to do now is follow the instructions that I just told you for each A4 piece of paper. One A4 piece of paper before quarantine, you're going to have drawn each routine activity. And then you're going to get the other A4 piece of paper and you're going to do the other storyboard for during quarantine. Okay? Cool. Go away and do that and then come back to me. All right, well done. You should now have both of your storyboards. Keep those safe because I would like you to scan them or take a picture of them and submit them with your final videos. I would also like to see the first list you created, even if it is a little bit messy. All right? Extra points for those who colour in their storyboards. Mwahahaha. All right, so the final part of the project and the most exciting and fun. We're going to create 2 different videos. The first video is going to be showing what your routine was like before quarantine. And then the next video is going to show what your life is like now during quarantine, what your routine is like now during quarantine. Now you can do it in so many ways. You can make one video called Before Quarantine versus During Quarantine. For instance, I could go routine number 1, before quarantine versus during quarantine. Before quarantine. It's 6 a.m. I have to go to work. Okay, sorry. See you later, Mum. Bye. Versus during quarantine. Oh, turn the alarm off. What time is it? It's 1 p.m. Oh, I'll wake up at 2 p.m. Okay, so that's one example, because what you're doing is you're comparing to the audience before what it was like before quarantine and what it's like during. The other option is that you could just create 2 separate videos showing each different routine and what they're like. So if I was creating a separate video for before quarantine, then I might do this. Routine number 1. Oh, I'm late. Routine number 2. Okay, class, welcome to my drama classroom. It's 12 p.m. now and let's get started. All right. And that would be an example of 2 of the activities I used to do before quarantine. All right. So I want you to create those 2 videos. I know a lot of you have sent in the last few weeks some really interesting videos for the tasks I've been giving you. So make sure you continue to give interesting videos like that, because I know that you're capable of it. Once you've created those 2 videos, I want you to send them in on Moodle with your storyboards and your list. All right? Once you've done that, you're completed, you're done for the week, and I can't wait to watch them all and have a look at your creative ideas. Maybe life has changed a lot for you during quarantine. Maybe it hasn't. Can't wait to see what happens. See you all soon. I hope you are staying safe. I wish you the very best and good luck.